have you on the call to explain about, our co-sponsorship program. And I believe with this program, we're going to really unlock our power of our collaboration. So Daniel, why don't you start and share a little bit of story about you and how you found eXp and how's your organization right now?
Yeah, everyone, my name is Daniel Ling. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I partnered up with eXp about four years and 4 months, really on the eXp commercial side. And when we had the opportunity to move over from the previous franchise that Calvin and I used to own, we follow our leader, right? That's people follow people. I mean, Elizabeth Riley always says that, and that's the same case. We follow James Wong into eXp commercial and realizing that, after 6 months after the build conference, I realized that we can create a network, build an organization, and really, impact more people's lives. And today, the organization that we've created is about 270 people, and it's just grown in different markets and globally too, right? I have four people in Peru that I just onboarded last month. And it's just understanding a platform what Glenn and the leadership have created. And this past 4 years, there's always been changes, right? There's like constant changes, and it's been great. And co-sponsoring is going to take us to the next level, and I'm very excited to share about that. I had a residential franchise with ERA before, and I had two other partners that were managing that, and they didn't believe in the EXP model. They felt like it was a multi-level, and they just didn't want to see past that. And so I gave them that company, and I started back with three people. So really, my story is to share like anything is possible, and the momentum is there. When you pass that 50 mark, I mean, Ian Flanagan would share with me, hey, once you get to that 50 mark, it'll get better and easier. And it's true. Once you get to that level, it gets easier. But you got to go find your first five, right?
Yep.
For a
Okay.
lot of agents, if you don't get your first five, how can you go to 10,000, right? Because our we have a mission and vision of having 10,000 global partners. And that is what I read every day. It's what I share every Monday to the team. We're going to get there, especially with co-sponsoring. That's just going to elevate it even faster. So, I appreciate meeting we, right away in the organization. We've always been friends right away and helped each other out, and explaining the model. And he explained it in our group, I explained it in his group. And in the past, it was like we're building our own groups, we're collaborating, but there's no legacy tie together, right? Not the rev share, but there's no legacy in a sense. But now we
Mhm.
can. And
Yeah.
next time we have a T-shirt or whatever, we're gonna be sponsored. We're gonna have all these. We're gonna have Team Legacy. We're gonna have Panda Pack, Wolf Pack, whatever pack you want. It's gonna be like lined up, and I'm really excited for what we're sharing today. We and the
Mhm.
partnership that really creating a partnership now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Just like on the F1 car, right? Now you can put so many logos, so many sponsors on, right? And then everybody is on the same team. So
there
that's what
you
I'm
go.
excited
That's
about. Yeah.
exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So by the way, I'm so excited to watch the F1 movie. It's gonna come out. I think it's gonna be a great movie about teamwork and leadership. So look up the trailer. I think it's gonna be a really good movie for all of us to watch. Yeah. But yeah, just a little bit about me, right? I met Amanda 8 years ago, right, Amanda? And then the rest is history, right? We together we build Team Legacy, and my group right now is about 260 people. So I'm still in production, right? I'm still Icon, going for Icon. But in the meantime, if I'm not doing house hacking, if I'm not showing houses, if I'm not listing houses, I will talk to real estate agent, right? I will reach out to real estate agent and I will figure out, what do we have in eXp, what do we have in Team Legacy? What do we have in We Partner Network? In order to help those agents close more house, attract more agent. Because when you make real estate agent make more money, fundamentally with our model, you will make more money as well, right? Because of the revenue share. So this is what Daniel and I want to discuss with you about today. First and foremost, right? I just want to show everybody how to get the eXp presentation, because in order for you to expand eXp, you need to understand the product, right? So we no longer talking about selling houses today. You are expanding the model. And one of the best way is go to join.exprealty.com. scroll all the way down, and then you click on the United States presentation if you are in the US. You click on the Canada version if you're in Canada, or if you're international, if you're in Brazil, if you're in Peru, different part of the country. You click on international, right? You need to understand the product. You need to understand what are we selling because we are no longer selling houses. We are selling the model, which is EXP. And now the game actually changed, right? No longer you need to sell EXP. You also need to sell your group, your community, which is Team Legacy, which is We Partner Network. If all of this is too overwhelming for you, the best way you can do is connect the leader, your upline, me, Daniel, Amanda. The best way is connect us, with the agent that you talk to, and let me do the heavy lifting for you. Let me do the explain for you. Let Amanda show them the future. Let Daniel handle the heavy lifting, right? Because if you try to do all of this in the beginning, number one, you're gonna mess up. Number two, you don't know what to say, and it just gets super hard, right? You have no leverage to help you, and then it's kind of defeat the purpose. The whole purpose of EXP taking the 20%, the whole purpose of us, of you in Team Legacy or we Partner Network is because for you to leverage us. So if you try to do everything yourself, and then well shit, it doesn't make sense, right? And it's gonna become super, super hard for you. So just do yourself a favor. If you're so new at this, Jimmy, don't even understand anything today, right? Just be excited and then connect people with me and then let me do the heavy lifting for you, right? Commitment, right? But I need one thing from you though, right? Especially Jimmy, the people that is new, right? You have to be authentically, absolutely, completely 110% convinced that EXP is going to be the best solution out there for the agent because otherwise you're gonna stop looking around. You're gonna think that the grass is gonna be greener on the other side, and you just can't sell, EXP, and then you can just can't sell Team Legacy because you think there's a better product outside, right? And the best example I can give you is a donut. So think of our platform, think of eXp Realty, think of Team Legacy. We partner network is a donut, right? I give you a donut, Jimmy, right? And what I see the difference between the people who success, they focus on the meat, right? They acknowledge that we all have problem. Every brokers have problem, right? We acknowledge the problem, which is the whole, but then we focus on the meat. We focus on what is working right now, and we promote that. We focus on that. The problem with the people that who fail in this business, either selling houses or attracting agent, I give them the donut, and all they focus on is the whole, right? And they wonder why they have nothing because they focus on the whole. So I want to get your mindset straight, right? Before we even start. This is the donut. This is EXP. I want you to focus on what is working. I want you to focus on co-sponsorship, right? I want you to focus on, all the good thing that we have, right? Not the whole, because I guarantee you, if you focus on the problem, the whole, you're gonna fail miserably, right? In any business, right? So I hope that will set your mindset straight, right? Just gonna go a little bit into the
And
base.
I want to add to that.
Go
If there
ahead.
is a problem, be the solution,
There you go.
right? So Glenn saw a problem and he created a solution. And
Yep.
if you know our founder, Glenn Sanford, he's always in beta mode. He's always testing new things. He's always doing different things. And I take that same thing in what we're doing with co-sponsorship, what we're doing with our organization, what we can always add value to the table. So this is important. Like you're a business owner. If there's a problem, go fix it.
Yep.
Don't gripe about it. Don't sit around. Go fix it. Let's fix it together. So
Yep. Yep. No, absolutely. Yeah. Action, 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 right? But yeah, to continue, thank you, Daniel. I needed that. Just to quickly bring everybody to the ground level, right? What is revenue share, right? Our company, our split is 80-20, but out of that 20%, right, they actually take half of it, which is $8,000. And I'm talking about a capping agent here. So in this example, right, a capping agent, you guys will cap and you guys will pay $16,000 into the company. Out of that, the company only operate on, right? This is a $1 billion company. They only operate on $8,000. The rest, the half of it, the $8,000, they actually put into the revenue share. And us as an agent, when we grow the company, we get to share the pool. We get to share the $8,000, right? Because we help grow the company, and the company compensate us, compensate Daniel, compensate Amanda, compensate Jimmy, in order for us to go grow the company. So that is the basic of revenue share, right? We are sharing the revenue that the company is bringing in. So that's where the money come from. Really important to understand, right?
can you go back to that slide real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So he's an icon agent.
Yep.
Where does that stock money come from? Half of the revenue goes to rev share pool. The other half goes to the company, but the company has to use their money to buy stocks. So you think about it, almost 20 to 25% of the company dollar goes back to agents. So if
Yep.
you add that up, that's almost 75% of the company's revenue going back to agents in some sort of fashion. They operate with, so they only have 25% left. From there,
Okay.
they still have a net income. That is how lean a company operates. So when I share this, this is important because people, it's not just 50%. You have stocks,
Yeah, I
right? That money
know.
comes from somewhere. So
Uh,
therefore the so it's a when you look at the math, you tell me what other brokerage can operate with less than 25%.
yeah.
And that's all I have to
Yeah.
say.
And as far as like me personally, it's just the platform is just super lenient, right? When you buy your own house, you have the only thing you have to pay is $250. So if you just look around, right, they make it super super easy and super affordable for you to run your business here. And I just don't know any other brokers that do that. It's
Yeah,
just I don't know how they can operate with this that thin margin of 25%. So thank you, Daniel, for bringing that up.
no
Yeah.
problem.
Yep. But then, yeah, just to go forward by that, right? You can start earning revenue share by bringing agent into the company. So we have 7 tier, guys. And so let's say I bring on, I'm gonna let Daniel explain the number, but just to know that you have 7 tiers. So if I bring on Daniel and then Daniel bring on Jimmy, Jimmy is gonna become my tier 2, right? So in this example, Jimmy is sponsored by Elva. So it's gonna be me, Elva, and Jimmy, right? So whenever Jimmy close a deal, Elva get 20% of the $8,000, and I also no, I get 20% of the $8,000, and Elva, because Elva is Jimmy tier 1, she also gets 17.5%, right? So the spread is gonna be there, for all of us. And then this is gonna overwhelm you. But all I'm gonna say is that focus on your first level and the second level, right? Which Daniel is gonna go over the number. Um, I really want to bring on, the benefit of a cap, right? So if you are a capping agent, you don't even have to worry about all this level being unlocked anymore, because when you become a capper with eXp, all your tier 1 and your tier all the way until tier 5 is gonna be unlocked, right? And if you are icon agent like me and Amanda and May and Tao, all of your 7 level will be unlocked. You never have to worry about bring on agent to your direct level in order to unlock your tier 1 and tier 2 and tier 3 anymore. So Daniel, you want to collaborate on this a little bit before we go?
Yeah, I think the main thing is when you're looking at the tier system, um, the math is there, right? There's no buffer, right? Whatever half the revenue comes in, you multiply that by that percentage. I call this 2.5 because they have the unlocking for capping and they have the icon. So we had the 2.0 that started in February of last year, and then they added this extra bonus during eXpCon, and I call it this 2.5 with
Yeah.
with co-sponsor. I call that 3.0. So
Yeah.
so but
And
yes, I mean this is amazing because for leaders that are just producing, this really helps them focus on their production, and they benefit from their growth and their leadership that they brought on their growth. So yeah, this is just, it's amazing how they were able to figure out the numbers. Don't forget, anytime they give more revenue this way, it's coming from the company, right? So the company has to be sustainable to do this. Like we didn't have Icon for commercial until after year 2 because there
yeah.
was no money to give stocks away from that company because we're a separate company, you know. And they recently lowered the Icon agent count for the higher producers from 500,000 GCI. Instead of having 10 transactions, they have 5 transactions now for that commercial. That's all new. So anytime they adjust something, if they're making it better, that means the company is doing better.
Yeah. So this personally worked for me, Daniel, right? Because like you say, having a production, still running production, and you have to focus on growing your tier one, right? The person you directly attract to, make sure they become FLQA, which in, they have to bring in at least, two deal every 6 months. Doing that is challenging, right? Because not every agent is producing. So by doing this, auto capper, now you guys have to reduce the burden of bring on your direct level, right? And then you can just focus on production. And if you can just, focus on your leader, right? Focus on building them, helping them, and all of a sudden, right, your organization is gonna go very deep. And I'd rather have a deep organization rather than a wide organization, if that makes sense. It's gonna just like a root of the tree. The more you go down, the more stable your business is gonna be.
Yep,
Yep.
I agree.
Yeah. So just to give a simple example, Daniel, go ahead and take over and explain, how like if I'm new, how can I earn $328,000 and $800 in potential revenue share?
Yeah, so give me a second. Let me see if I can do my annotation. All right. So yeah, so everyone knows it's 80-20 split, right? On the residential side, 80,000 GCI gross commission income times 20% equals 16,000 cap, right? Remember we was talking about 50% goes to the rev share pool, so that's where this math comes in. 16,000 times 50% equals 8,000, right? That's if the agent's capping. So without talking about bonuses, let's go back to tiers one. So if you brought in Sally in New York, so if you're licensed in Texas, you have the opportunity to bring somebody in New York because the company is one corporate company, not a franchise. A lot of people don't understand this. This is the power to bring other leaders in and say Sally is from New York. You get the math is 17.5%. And if we know Sally's a capping agent already because she does 200,000 in GCI, we know she's a capping agent. So that's 8,000 times 17.5 equals 1,400. Now, immediately, because a lot of New Yorkers fly to Florida, so that's why I use as an example. Sally brings on Tom. Tom's in Florida. That's your tier two. That's 20%. 8,000 times 20% equals 1,600. And immediately, Tom knows somebody in Texas, and Lisa comes in. That's your tier three. That's 12.5%, which is 8,000 times 12.5 is $1,000. Now, here, this is the math. If you brought in 12 friends into the company, 12 partners is what I call them, and they're all capping, guess what? That's 16,800, not including the tier one bonuses. Okay.
That's right.
That
Yeah.
covered that covers your cost. So when someone says, "Oh, it costs too much," I was like, "Well, just because you're able to grow, that covered your cost." I couldn't do that as an independent broker because I have a lot of costs as an independent broker, right? Now, if these 12 were growing their own groups, helping them, I mean, we and I are helping you guys grow. So 12 times 10, that's 120 people in your tier two. And if they're all plugged into the eXp systems, there should not be any issues for an agent to cap. That's selling 4 to 6 homes in your marketplace, more or less. That's $192,000. And
Woo!
now, if we just said, hey, just one person just takes one friend, that's another 120. That's a And if you multiply by that, if they're all capping, that's 120,000. If you add that up, that's 328,800. So now we go for another scenario. What if everyone's a half cap? Well, just cut that in half. That's still revenue. You don't have to cap to get the revenue. It's paid monthly when there's a transaction done. So when someone does a transaction this month, you get paid the following month. But let's go back to the scenario if everyone was copying. If I can net 328,800, Amanda, we're all investors. We own properties. So I buy shopping centers. So right now, if a property is at a 6% cap rate, if I can net 328,800, I would have to save $5.48 million in cash
Too
to
much.
buy a shopping center to net me this. For $85 a month, I have a whole platform to be a business owner because we look at the cash flow quadrant. You immediately become a business owner here. I couldn't do that. I couldn't even give my team members when I had my franchise this. I couldn't give that. I couldn't give them equity. I could not share revenue because I have too much cost. But Glenn Sanford and the leadership was able to create this, you know, and make it sustainable. This is important, right? So this is on the realty side. You can recruit on the commercial side, right? I'm on the commercial, but I have residential and commercial. We started recruiting on the residential side first to cover our costs. That's what we did, right? As a business owner, you got to figure out what's the best solution for you to cover costs and build and impact more people. So going back, you have a bonus. What is the bonus? So the bonus is not just from the rev share pool. The bonus is coming from the company dollar. The company sharing 50% of the 50% rev share pool. So you got rev share pool of 8,000 or 10,000, depending which company you're at, times 50%. That equals 4,000 or $5,000, depending on which company that agent came in from. That's huge. Because if you imagine you brought in 10 people that are capping, that's pretty good
That's huge.
residual.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that could cover your costs as a capping agent for a few years, right? So that is the power of rev share, and you guys need to understand this. You need to understand where the money goes, because once you follow the money, how it flows, you understand how the company operates. So we can go to what I'm excited now is the next chart.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey,
So
before you go in here, let me just,
yes,
wrap one up a little bit, so like even for me, guys, I even forget about the commercial side, right? And I didn't even know that, the commercial side, they have a $20,000 cap, right? So if you attract a commercial agent, your revenue share is gonna be bigger. So instead of, 16,000, if you attract a commercial agent, if they cap, right, that's gonna be a 21,000, right? You multiply it by 12. Yeah, you multiply it by 12 agent, that's 21,000. I know a lot of
yes,
it, it's going to overwhelm a lot of people. This is exactly what Amanda showed me, on the first date at a sushi table. And I told Amanda, like Amanda, I don't understand any of this, but if even if you bullshit me, right? Even half of this thing is true. If I can if I can come up with a plan in 5 years or 3 years, and if I can just get $200,000 in revenue share, I'm in with you, right? Even half the stuff that you told me is bullshit. I don't care, right? $200,000 sounds good enough. What about, like 1/4 of it is, it's only true, right? 75% of it is all bullshit. I'm okay with getting $100,000 in revenue share. That is exactly what I told Amanda. Amanda, it sounds good. It sounds amazing, you know, but let's just say worst case scenario, right? If I just try really hard, maybe I don't get $400,000, but maybe I get 100 grand, right? That would be good enough. That would be, half of the Ferrari, for example, right? So I just go with that and I run for it for 5 years, guys. That's where I end up right now, right? So, the model is built there is be there for you. It's totally up to you and how you run it. So, yeah, Amanda, if you want to add anything, go ahead.
So for me, I agree, Daniel. You need to know where the numbers are so you can understand how the corporation works. But for me, I was like, oh, this is overwhelming. I don't get it.
yes,
I'm out. I'm just here to sell houses, right? And when they really explained it to me, like all you need to do, like Hui will say, I've exhausted my database. I've helped every agent I know. I need to help you and your agents. And who do you know? If you just look at it as I need to find 5, 10, 15, 20 agents that really want to grow their business, and Daniel and Hui and Sydney and Jimmy and Amanda and everyone will pitch in and help them. And then I happen to get residual income. That was relatable to me. And the numbers don't lie. What these numbers mean to me is that I'm not alone. And that when people call and say, hey, how can I help you grow your business? They actually mean it because they're financially incentivized. Like they're going to keep showing up for me because they're going to keep getting paid when I'm successful. And so for me, this was just a huge built-in support system that happened to be residual income. It's awesome.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Amanda. So now we're
yeah.
gonna
Don't get overwhelmed with the numbers. The main
yeah,
thing is
yeah.
you have an opportunity to become a business owner and grow, and the numbers are there because it's a steady number and it works.
Yeah. It's
The math doesn't lie.
exactly. As an investor, I truly believe that you need to look at the map first because there's a lot of company out there that have, that is selling the same product. Their math doesn't work out if you really take a look at it, right? It's just no way that the math is going to work out. Eventually, they have to change the model. They have to twist this. They have to do that, right? the math doesn't work out. So as an investor or as anything, I encourage you to, look past all the marketing bullshit and really look at the math, the mathematics, the number behind the platform. This is gonna work out in the long term, right? And then you make your decision based on number, not based on marketing, some fancy box that I gave you, for fuck's sake.
Yes.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, so now, so I have example. I have Maritza coming in. Maritza's a great lady. She came with me to eXp Con, and something was missing. I knew I could bring her in, and not just bring her in. I wanted to make sure I had retention. I was able to support her on the Hispanic side. I don't speak Spanish, and I just had this desire to figure out what to do with her, like, because she's my business partner. There's someone that she's my friend, and I don't want to just recruit just to recruit. I really want to genuinely help them try to figure out how to impact their community more. And I had this idea last week, and I said, well, Marissa, since you're not here, and they officially announced co-sponsoring, what if I reached out to Orlando Montiel? He has a coaching platform out of Miami. He has about 2,000 agents, and he has a whole community. If your goal is to focus on Hispanic agents and community, this might be a good partnership. So I reached out to Orlando. We had a call. I have another call this week with him and he's agreed to co-sponsor Maritza. So Orlando and I are two separate organizations. I don't even know who his upline is, but I know that he has a great coaching program and he does Zoom calls. And I know that this would be a right fit for Maritza. So I've connected them. So what does it mean? Instead of Maritza being my tier one, she shifts down to tier two, and I'm able to put Orlando as my tier one as a buffer. Okay, when Maritza does a transaction, Orlando gets tier one money from rev share from Maritza. I get tier two. He gets the bonus, the tier one bonus, and I get the FLQA credit and the 400 stock award. When Maritza grows to, say, Sally is my tier three. Sally is tier two for Orlando. Same thing if Hui and I did something together, or Amanda, or whatever. I mean, the thing is, there's multiple ways to do this. And remember, we talked about we only have 7 levels. Guess what? I can co-sponsor my tier 8. I can continue that line on. I mean, that was John Tsai talked about that yesterday, and that just blew my mind again. So,
Yep. Yeah. So
like
just
Amanda can figure out who her tier 8 is and start working with them. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the possibility, and we couldn't do that before. And
Yeah.
for our leaderships to figure out how to create this model, not divide the model up, the rev share, is actually make it more impactful. This makes sense. And as a primary sponsor, it goes up your upline leaders, and it stops at it doesn't go past Orlando if you're looking at this chart, right? So the co-sponsor is basically coming in to support that team member that you're bringing on. Typically, it's locally. Like if Hui's in Houston and I need a local support, I can call Hui because he can support my team in Houston, and that's usually this case scenario. If not, you don't really need to use co-sponsoring unless you're not able to support that team, right? So for those that are just focused on production and don't have a system, or they don't have a culture built yet, co-sponsoring works beautifully, right?
Yeah.
We and I have both great cultures that we're creating together with Team Legacy and We Partners and things like that. You can add that as a benefit. There's so many ways to look at it. If you go to the next chart, so Lucia is my tier one, and she just brought on Aaron. Aaron qualifies to be co-sponsored. So Aaron is on the commercial side, so he wanted another commercial coach. And I said, aha, I know Paul Frank in California. And I put him on a Zoom call. They talked, they discussed, and they liked the energy with each other. So now Lucia gets to add Paul Frank to her line to support Aaron. And basically, Paul's upline is Brent Go. Guess what? So a lot of those things are able to align together, and that's the power of co-sponsoring. Is there a negative? No, because you get to align with everyone. And yes, the co-sponsor's upline doesn't get the rev share, but the co-sponsor's upline wouldn't get it in the first place because without Lucia bringing on Aaron, they wouldn't have known them anyways. So, the main thing is we're all going to be commingling together. I know that's a bad term in real estate, but in EXP, that's a great term.
Yeah. In
So intertwining together. That's what
yeah.
I would say.
I'm gonna repeat what Glenn said in the leadership meeting. His goal with co-sponsor is that at the next EXP con, you can't tell what lie you are under anymore, right? Because he really want our company to be one big EXP company, right? It's not this line, that line. Who's your
Yeah.
sponsor? Who are you belonging to, right? He really wants to create a culture of one community, right? So that's how we.
So I want to share one example. So Tom Trong, he's a alpha leader in the EXP, and he has a tier one team member, Don Choi. Don Choi passed away from a fatal car accident. There is no way in the past that I could support his family through RevShare in any way of some sort of fashion, unless I give that line agent, right? Now I can actually work with his downline or his wife and co-sponsor some agents so that I can support that family. So there's so many ways to intertwine and help and being an impact. Now I can finally be part of Team Legacy because I can be a co-sponsor for Hui on commercial, whatever it is, and
Yeah.
that rev share will go back up to Amanda.
Yeah.
So you don't know how powerful this is because we get to do that, right? So
What you
I'm
mentioned.
excited.
Yep. Yeah. So Daniel, what you mentioned is really important because that is the essence of co-sponsor, right? Because we actually don't have any strong commercial presence within Team Legacy, right? We have been reaching out to you, and you has been helping us, without asking for anything back, right? So this is just one way for us, to at least give back something, right? And something concrete for us to work together. Because to be honest, I'm not a commercial guy, right? I have not yet owned a shopping mall center compared to Daniel Legacy. So if an agent is interested in learning about commercial, right, Daniel would be a perfect co-sponsor, right, to bring on because with Daniel support and Daniel commercial culture on We Partner Network, right, now together we can further help that agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
I
really,
mean,
really a good example.
and it doesn't have to be just me. There's a lot of leadership out there. There's a lot of talent out there. So I just did a co-sponsorship with Tina Call. Tina has actually became the primary because one of my agents wanted fast forward with Kyle Whistle and Dan Beer. So I told that leader down in McAllen, I said, Caesar, if your daughter needs that, that's okay. You can be the co-sponsor. I don't get any rev share, but it's okay. The main thing is they get supported, right? So you can't get greedy on like who's the co-sponsor of the primary. You got to do what's best for the team member for retention.
Yeah.
Because I can guarantee you, if we looks at his offboarding chart and I look at my offboarding chart, it's more than half, right?
One and a
And
half.
and the thing is, and now with this, we get to support more, and we get to collaborate even better. So retention is going to be big in this. So
Yep. So whenever you confuse on who's the sponsor, who's the primary sponsor, who's the co-sponsor, just remember one thing, right? Based on all the information you have, do what's best for the agent that you are sponsoring into the company, right? So if Jimmy were to come in, right, I have to do what's best for Jimmy, not what is best for you, for Elva, for Amanda, but what is best for Jimmy based on his scenario, and then you make a decision. So for example, right, there's two scenarios that Tom draw the line for me. So let's say I'm attracting an agent in Boston, they reach out to me on social media. I'm way down here in Houston. I don't know anything about Boston. I don't have any presence in Boston. Tom would be a perfect co-sponsor, right? Because Tom can come in, right? Yeah, Tom can come in and support him on the local level. And then, all of my rep share could go all the way up, to Jeff, to Wilco, to Raflik, and then to Gene, right? And then on the opposite side, right? If Tom find an agent in Houston, or maybe Daniel, I think I go it backward, right? Yeah, I think I did it backward. Is it? Yeah,
no,
backward,
no, yeah,
backward. Yeah. So kind of revert that, right? If so the Houston agent, right? If Tom find an agent in Houston, right? And he doesn't have any way to support that agent in Houston, right? I would be the primary sponsor because we already have the Houston structure to support them. So it's gonna flow up to Jeff, to Wilco, to Jennifer, to Jean, right? And then vice versa. If I find an agent in Boston, right? If I don't know anything on it, or
Actually, no. Typically, if you're if Tom knows an agent in Houston,
Mhm.
he would still be the primary.
Oh, I
You
see.
become the co-sponsor.
Oh,
I think it's
However,
stay with the relationship.
yeah,
that makes
it's
sense. That makes
relationship.
sense.
But if all three parties agree, they can reverse it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did with Tina Call, is I reversed it because it benefited the agent because that's what they wanted.
There you
So,
go. There you go.
but
That's what I'm
typically,
thinking.
yeah. So, but typically, it's the co-sponsor that's the local leader helping support that agent, primary sponsors the agent.
Because they're getting that first tier payment.
Correct.
Yeah. See, I even get
So,
confused. So,
yeah.
we need to do
Don't overcomplicate it. The main thing is just know that this is very powerful for collaboration.
Yep.
So,
Cool. Yeah, so I think that's it. After this, we can kind of open it up for question. Oh, there you go, right?
yeah. I
Daniel.
mean, the thing is, if you guys aren't going to big events, you're missing out because big things happen. Yeah, events after events. That's why I take a lot of pictures. You can go to the next. You just scroll through if you want to.
This one. Ooh, look at that.
We had a commercial event, so you got to plug into there. Just keep on going. And there's a lot of photos that I put in.
Oh, there you go. Oh, I love that. Yeah, the
He
view
was
the
here.
fun is amazing. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so event is a way for you to get to know all the leader in the company, right? Because leader, they go to event, they always show up at the event. So co-sponsorship, if you're looking for looking to start building relationship within eXp for co-sponsor, event. So go there and connecting with people, good people.
Yes.
Yeah,
We got
Daniel,
our rallies around the country, Cabo. I mean, there's so many things going on. So, the reason why I show this because you guys need to be there, right? If you're serious about building your business, you have to show up. This was the Houston event we did. So, just important.
Yep.
Yeah, this is
Daniel, we need to do the dash again. I really love the dash.
Yes.
Like how you create your first million. I think that's really powerful.
And we can do and let's do that. And what I'm excited, I get to be invited to hopefully Team Legacy's Christmas parties.
Yeah, there you go. Now you're in. Now you are in, Daniel.
I get FOMO every time I see who he's posting.
That's funny. That's funny. You always Daniel. You're always welcome. Yep.
Yes.
But yeah, a lot of stuff for us to collaborate together now. This is really cool. Yeah, and eXpCon. Daniel, you take a lot of pictures. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Let me just move all this picture. Yeah.
Sorry, I think this is the last one.
Amazing. No, yeah.
There we go.
But if you want to focus on the basic, right? If those stuff is overwhelming for you, Daniel and I, we actually did a very simple basic about agent attraction at Miami County eXp. So the link is here in the presentation, which I'm gonna send it out to you guys. Watch this one first, and then go back and watch this particular presentation later because you need to get like the basic first, right? How to actually, create like a three-way text, to bring on people, to chat with people. So watch this basic training. Daniel and I go over all the basic for you to attract agent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Hang on, let me put the video. Yeah, I think that's it. That's the last slide.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah.
Get excited, man. I mean, if you're not excited, that's the first thing. You got to be excited. Rob Flake always says the first thing is be excited. Yeah, you cannot be like, oh, you want to come to eXp, we have a very exciting product. You can't do that. You gotta be freaking excited, to bring on people and get ready to have chance their life. So we're gonna open this up for question. Kai, you have any questions?